On this week's episode of the Imagineers Disney podcast, we give our list of must-watch Disney documentaries for any Disney fan that you need to watch. And we'll also be talking about trips to Disney World. So stick around. All that ahead on the Imagineers Disney podcast.
There's really no secret about our approach. We keep moving forward, opening up new doors, doing new things, because we're curious. And curiosity keeps leading us down new paths. We're always exploring and experimenting.
Hello, everyone. Welcome back to the Imagineers Disney podcast. I am your host, Matt, and I am joined, as always, by my good friend and co-host, Susie. Hello.
Hi.
How are we?
More importantly, how are you? It's your birthday.
Yes, it is.
You should be happy. You get an excuse to eat. No, it's not. You get presents. You get food. You get.
This is true.
You get good wishes on our Instagram. People were commenting, wishing you a happy birthday. That was very nice.
So thank you everyone who wished me happy birthday on Instagram and Facebook and on Twitter. So thank you so much. I have read every single one of the messages. I think I've replied to everybody. So that really does mean a lot to me. And
you're so popular.
I appreciate it. I appreciate you all. I'm not popular. People listen to this podcast because of you. So it's definitely not because of you.
That is not true. I have some very controversial hot takes. But so glad to have you on, obviously part of the show. You started this whole shebang. So happy birthday, Matt. We got to get that out of the way. Not not like aggressively get it out of the way because who cares, but like we need to start with it.
Right. Well, it has been a good birthday. It's been a good birthday weekend. Like, my Jags taking it to the Colts.
That was so funny. Love the look of Fournette on the sideline of the Bucks. Like, what did I do?
Yep. So Jags are in first place, AFC South.
It's been one game. Give it time.
Braves are still in first place. Their pitching's terrible, and they're going to cost us the World Series, but that's okay too. My fantasy football team won. That's awesome as well. So as you can see, I like sports. So,
but we're not going to talk about college football though. We're gonna grace over that one.
Florida State. Not a good weekend.
But you did
really talk about sports.
No
on this podcast. Anyway.
I mean, we could.
Nah.
It's probably better not to open that box.
Yeah. Anyway, I'm just glad to have sports back. It's fun to be able to sit down and watch a game and hopefully soon go to games. So, in fact, the Jacksonville was, other than the Thursday night game, Jacksonville, I think on Sunday was the only team in the NFL that had fans in the stands. So they capped it all at, I think, 15,000
seems to be the number that most stadiums are like maximally allowing, but I still feel like most places are lower, except Jacksonville. We're crazy, but things are looking pretty positive in Jacksonville right now, so that's good. But
we'll see.
Keep that up. But anyway, other than that, your weekend.
The Bears, Christoph.
Oh snap! Oh my gosh, maybe we should stop talking about sports.
Although I think the Bears won. I think they came back. Yes, they did. They came back from the grave, I think, on Sunday, but still. Anyway. So today birthday, and we get a Mandalorian trailer. Yes.
I wore my child shirt today in honor. Yeah. Surprise trailer.
Yes, very surprised. I'm there was a lot of speculation on whether or not we would actually get a trailer before the new season comes out on October 30th.
I didn't think we would. I was expecting it to just happen. Just because that just seems to be how The Mandalorian is. Like, they do such a good job. For the most part, I know there's like some really strong rumors running around, but I think they do a really good job of, like, so far with the show, like keeping the important things under wraps, like the child. That was a pretty big thing to keep a secret for so long. So, that trailer was great, but not really revealing a lot, which is also really good.
Yeah, it looks like we might have a new character in the shadows. Mm-hmm. It was not Ahsoka.
Guys, it's not Ahsoka.
It's not Ahsoka.
Ahsoka's a Togruta. That was a human. And that person was also not Sabine. I mean, I highly doubt I'm going to have to eat those words. But Sabine, and her whole family, it's clearly more of an Asian-inspired character in her family background on Mandalore. And that's not the type of person the character was.
And I think they were very careful in the animated series as well to cast the actual people that they cast.
The actors were all for her whole family, her parents and her brother. Yeah. So highly doubt it's Sabine, which I kind of hope all those rumors are like not true, or they make a very brief appearance as just like a fan cameo, because I think what The Mandalorian does best is it really makes non-hardcore Star Wars fans like interested in Star Wars. It's not, you don't have to know all the Rebels, all the Clone Wars lore to understand The Mandalorian. I know the Darksaber.
The last thing we saw in season 1 was the Darksaber.
But that can be explained really easily without having to be like, okay, you have to go back and watch like 7 seasons of Clone Wars and 4 seasons of Rebels. Like, I think they can explain that pretty easily. Like, they explained the Purge and all that other stuff, but we'll see. All we know is Baby Yoda's back, and Mandalorian's back.
I laughed so hard in the trailer when he like closes
his little egg.
He's like, nope.
He knows what's coming. He's seen it. He's seen that in action.
Shield your eyes from everything. So
it'll be really good. Maybe we should do that for our. No, we can't do it as our Friday night movie because we have Halloween stuff lined up. Maybe the season finale we'll do we'll do a watch or something on Discord with all of our friends. We have to at some point for The Mandalorian. We'll figure it out.
For sure.
Yeah.
Tonight, though, we are actually going to be talking about Disney Plus. Mm-hmm. And more importantly, so Disney Plus is amazing. Like, this is seriously one of the best investments ever.
Yeah.
On a side note, I think that Disney Plus, whoever came up with the idea of this and like, hey, let's release this in November, like the shrine should already be up in their honor, because I mean, they've saved quarantine pretty much.
Oh my gosh, yeah.
That was brilliant. With as big of a hit as the parks and stuff took during all of this coronavirus stuff, having Disney Plus in their back pocket, I think, has definitely helped. And it's great having original content like The Mandalorian, but then having your classic Disney movies, your princess movies, all of the Pixar movies, Star Wars. But tonight we are actually going to be talking about some of the things that maybe you should watch if you are a true Disney fan. Like if you've enjoyed those animated films or live action films, a lot of the documentaries on Disney Plus really dive deep into what makes those films special.
Yeah.
So I think we'll hit a lot of those tonight.
Yeah, and there's a lot of variety. I'm sure, obviously, our lists are going to have a lot of overlap, but there's a lot of different elements of
pretty short list
movie making and Disney history that, when you really look at it all together, it really fits to form this beautiful puzzle of like what Disney really is and what they're about, and how they've gotten from point A to point B. Because there's a couple different documentaries that kind of like overlap, and it's really nice when you've seen all of them to get a clear picture of what was going on at Disney during like the I don't know, the 80s and the 90s, during some very critical times in their history. So yeah, I can't wait to dive in and talk. I love documentaries just in general, by the way.
Me too.
I tend to watch a lot of crime documentaries. I don't know how good that is for my mental health, but here we are. The Disney documentaries, of course, are always a fun way to counterbalance the murder.
Sure. Well, let's go ahead and start kicking off our list. So, Susie, what is your first recommendation?
All right, first recommendation. Every Disney fan, if you haven't already seen this, I'm assuming you were taking some type of like trip to like the mountains, or you were camping in the desert for weeks on end and had no access to internet of any kind, because every Disney fan by now, or if you just got Disney Plus, you need to start with the Imagineering story.
100%.
This might be the best documentary period I have ever seen. And I know you and I both have, just over the years, there's a lot of different things about Walt Disney and the beginning of, you know, his life and that story and how Disneyland came about. There's a really good PBS one. I think it's like The American Experience or something like that. Yeah. That's a great look at Walt's life. But this gives a really awesome, comprehensive view of how attractions were made, how Imagineering came to life, how that fit in together with Walt's original vision. For everything you get to talk, or you don't get to talk to, that'd be cool. You get to see and hear from some of the most iconic Imagineers of all time, who have brought us, these attractions that people have passed down generation to generation. And it is just beautifully shot and well done. I know we talked a lot about this when it first came out. You remember?
Oh yeah. Yeah, absolutely. You already said Disney legends and Imagineers that have brought so much, Bob Gurr and Kevin Rafferty and Joe Rohde, just these generational brilliant people, like unbelievably brilliant and talented people who have brought so much. They're the ones responsible for bringing so much joy to so many people in the parks throughout the years and decades. And it's a great look at where they started and where they're going. I think the last episode sets it up well. Obviously, none of us expected what 2020 was going to be. And they tease some things, especially for the Avengers campus. So I'm curious to see where they go next. I don't think they'll be making more of that story. I think it was kind of a one and done thing, but man, I would love to see some, I don't know, like a season 2, but like really focus in on some individual attractions, both old and maybe new.
Because it does a good job of going from park to park, of how it really just like crescendos the whole thing, right? So obviously, as the Disney company has grown over the years, parks have grown, movies have grown, intellectual properties have grown, and it shows how all of that kind of has weaved together into what the parks look like now. So I like the looks at the international parks.
And Michael said Tony, and yes, absolutely. Sorry, I did leave out Tony Baxter. My apologies. Yes, absolutely. Amazing Imagineer. Really, that documentary, I think I'm going to go ahead and say it is maybe the thing that I have enjoyed most out of Disney Plus.
Yeah.
Especially from the original content. So.
Oh yeah. I cried several times.
Yep. Oh, that first episode.
That's so good. Oh man.
First episode. I don't want to spoil it if you haven't seen it, but
yeah. Well,
go check that out. That should be like number 1 on your list.
Yeah.
Number 1 on your list should be the Imagineering story. Okay.
What do you recommend?
I am going to go outside of the parks and start with Waking Sleeping Beauty.
Oh, what a good one. That and the Imagineering story fit really well together. That's some of the stuff I was alluding to earlier. So what is Waking Sleeping Beauty about? Because you had seen it before Disney Plus, right?
Yeah, yeah. And I think I recommended it to you. I'm like, you need to watch this.
And I'm so glad you did.
Yeah, it is really again a deep dive into a very interesting period of time within within Walt Disney Animation.
Mm-hmm.
And because it was a tipping point, like they were on the brink of I don't want to say collapse, but like things were not going well. Like
the thing that made this company was lost. It had gotten lost in whatever animation was supposed to be in the stories they were supposed to be telling.
Right. And you had long gone were the days of Snow White and Cinderella and Sleeping Beauty. And we were getting stuff like the Black Cauldron, just things that just didn't do well. I actually like the Black Cauldron, but there was just a downturn in production, and then it they hit a corner with the Little Mermaid, and then like back to back to back to back to back with Aladdin and Beauty and the Beast and The Lion King. And they deal with a lot of the personalities that were so critical during that time, with Eisner, and Katzenberg. So yeah, if you are a fan of Disney animation, and especially if you're around our age who grew up with those movies,
the Renaissance,
it is a fascinating look behind the scenes
of very what candid.
Yes, very candid.
And I applaud Disney of that, and even in the Imagineering story, and there's a couple of others on my list where you get to see the full, like, it's not always magic and it's not always pretty, because at the end of the day, this sounds harsh, it's a business. There's things that have to be done, and there's a lot of things that go into making a good story. And of course, the most important one is story and characters themselves. But there's so many elements. How does that interact with the park? How does that, music was a big element that had gotten lost for a couple of years. But they're very candid in that some of the personalities behind the scenes did not always get along, even during the heyday. Like even during Beauty and the Beast and Lion King days, like there were major players who still just necessarily weren't seeing eye to eye. And I think it's good for Disney to include that. It's a real part of their history that you can't ignore, and it fits into the story, and it makes a big, difference over where we are and how far, they've come.
Right. We have some comments coming in, and so refreshing to see them acknowledge big mistakes in those documentaries. I agree, 100%. Especially with these two. Really in the Imagineering story and in Waking Sleeping Beauty, they really do touch on topics where they did have some failures, and they openly admit it.
Euro Disneyland.
But you learn from those. Christoph says it's weird seeing Katzenberg in the dock sing as he created the competition for Disney, aka DreamWorks. Yeah, it's it's kind of fun in a way. I don't know, to be a Disney fan, to love the films, but then also take a peek behind the curtain to see what went on behind the scenes. That's the stuff I like. And that's really the great thing about documentaries. It's stuff that you typically don't see. It's information that it's not on the news.
No.
Maybe on Twitter, but
nowadays, everything is.
Nowadays, yes, but back then,
True, but as we saw a couple months ago when we did our episode on El Grupo, the Walt Disney Company has always documented things very well. And of course, not a large number of those original people have passed, but the company really isn't that old. So for the last, half of its existence, most of the big players, may still be here, so they can contribute, but everything was just documented extensively, which has made for really great documentaries, obviously documented.
Yep. Real quick before we progress, we have a Susie fan.
Hi, Candace.
Candace says hello. So hello, Candace. Thank you for watching.
Thank you.
And one last question before we move on. We try to answer as many questions as we can. So this is kind of sort of off topic, but not, because we did talk about Eisner and stuff. Who is our favorite Disney CEO? Oh, man.
I don't know how to answer. I mean, obviously there's two answers that everyone is going to be deciding between, and it's Eisner and Iger. And honestly, I think
because it's not the current one.
It's not the current one, but I'm actually just going to go from a more business perspective, not emotional. Emotionally, I'd say Eisner, but I think business-wise, I do think Iger was, I'm going to say Iger. I just think the last few years before everything were full of amazing growth. And in 20 years, when we see a documentary about that, I think you're really going to get to see the full scope of his genius. And are you going to say Eisner?
Just I was probably going to say Eisner.
Okay.
So
there's nothing against either one of them, but that's a tough choice.
That is tough. They each brought something completely different to the table.
Yeah.
Yeah, and you actually get to see a lot of that in the documentary, especially the Imagineering story. So yes. Okay, so Imagineering story, Waking Sleeping Beauty. Where are you going next?
I'm going to stick with animation.
Okay.
But I'm going to go a little more recent. I'm going to say Into the Unknown, which is the making of Frozen 2.
Yes.
So I watched this in like one afternoon, basically, very early on in quarantine, like as soon as it came out. I'm not ashamed that I loved Frozen when it came out, but I really loved Frozen 2. Obviously, I think we've talked about it on here, how much better it is than the first one. But this gives you an inside look at obviously the technology, because they're not, I mean, they are drawing, but they're not using, and there are early stages, storyboarding, I get, but it's a different kind, obviously, of animation with all the technology and digital, aspects that we have now. But what is so great about this documentary is it shows how the story and the characters evolve throughout the creation of the movie itself. There's a very pivotal song toward the end of Frozen 2, which I think is the best song in the whole movie. I think it's the best song out of both movies. I think it's better than Let It Go, which is catchy. But Show Yourself is a very pivotal song in the movie. And throughout the whole documentary, there's like this subline, and it really comes to a heat at the end where they're trying to figure out, like, what does this final song look like? Like, what's it going to be about? It actually, a big plot point in the movie hangs on this song. And so they're still developing that out. And you get to see how the story really all comes together, from music to, character development, something that had been in the works for 2 years, animation, having to go back and do things. Just that big collaborative look at the final 12 months of going into a huge blockbuster animated film.
Yeah, it's, if you are like a film nerd and you like behind the scenes footage, this was so well put together. I mean, well thought out, executed perfectly. And again, it goes to show you what is involved in creating a film, and the stress that's involved with it. And
a lot of that.
I mean, the changes that are made last minute, or close to last minute, it's crunch time. And, I got to hand it to the crew of this movie, because it's not easy building off of a film that's so popular with Frozen, and delivering, in my opinion, making a better movie. So it's just a really unique look into the process of making that second movie. I wish they would have come up with like an actual title, not just Frozen 2. But
I don't know. There's like Toy Story 2, Incredibles 2, Lion King 2. Oh, that's Simba's Pride.
Yes.
Underestimated movie, by the way. I guess you just say Into the Unknown. But just a very Disney thing about that movie, again, the songs are really what push plot points and push character developments, and that is what ultimately the whole documentary hangs on, is how do we get this song to bring it all together. And it is really good. Again, I cried in this one. I don't know why. It's so good, and you get to see the actors in their element. Kristen Bell doing the Anna, and doing The Next Right Thing, which is a beautiful song. I love that song, but like getting to see her in the booth and like she gets really worked. It's just really good. You see how much care goes into making.
Yeah, I'm a big fan of those behind the scenes things, so they're really enjoyable. Can't wait to see what they do next. I hope they do it again for another popular film. So
yeah, there's been a couple Pixar things like that. So I don't know. Maybe we get a Pixar one. I know there's a couple Pixar movies coming out soon, so we'll see.
I'd like to see a live action one. That would be fun.
Ooh, that would be really fun. That's true.
Oh man, I would kill for like a behind the scenes Jungle Cruise.
That'd be great.
That would be so
that much would be really fun.
So, and hopefully we'll get that movie eventually. I think
next summer. Yeah.
We'll see. But I mean, we got that trailer, was it last year?
Yes.
By the time the movie comes out, it's been
it's been like 3 years since they worked on it.
Right. It's crazy. Crazy time we're living in.
Yeah.
Okay, so I am actually going to go to a more recent one as well. I am going to recommend Howard. Howard, have you watched Howard yet?
I haven't. No, okay. And I saw. Is it recently released?
Yes.
Okay, then that's why I haven't seen it yet.
Yeah, it. I think it was the end of July.
Oh, okay. Oh, wow. Okay.
Yeah.
How behind is it?
Yeah. Man, then this one's sad. Not gonna lie. I mean, Howard Ashman's story is just, I don't want to say depressing, but oh man, it's one of those instances of
his story wasn't done. Yeah, his story wasn't done being told.
Yep, and tragic how his life was cut short with AIDS, but it really goes into his history. Very personal information. Just kind of starting from his upbringing, going through college, and then his professional career. But I mean, you watch this documentary. He's one of the greatest songwriters ever.
Yeah.
So I mean, he had such a gift to bring emotion on screen, and I'll just give one example because I want you to go see this. But I've heard this story before, like many times, but in fact, I think they talk about it in Waking Sleeping Beauty.
Is it in the hospital?
No, not that one. Okay. That one's way too sad. I don't want to talk about that. It was during the production of The Little Mermaid.
Mm-hmm.
So he has written Part of Your World, and Katzenberg wants to cut it out of the movie. And it's essentially like, over my dead body.
Yeah.
Like, there's no way you are taking this out. This has to stay. He fought for it. And it did end up in the movie. And I think to this day, I think it's one of the more memorable songs from the movie.
Very emotional.
Obviously, Under the Sea won the Oscar. But man, I mean, Part of Your World, it's part of Disney attractions now.
Yeah.
If you go to Mickey's PhilharMagic, it's in that.
Under the Sea.
Jodie Benson, of course, is just amazing, and you get to see again historical footage of things from that time, and it's just a lot of fun to look back on. And that movie, again, as sad as it is, it's a lot of fun to go back and watch and be like, wow, like look what this guy did. With The Little Mermaid, and then they even talk about like Little Shop of Horrors. But in Aladdin and Beauty and the Beast, and it's just really good.
I can't wait to watch it.
Christoph actually said Howard was so good, it revealed things about his life that I never even knew. I almost cried watching the doc, which I don't too often.
I'm sure I will then.
It's not easy. It's not a easy thing to sit down and watch, but it is good for sure.
Yeah, he played a major role in that revitalization. Again, it comes back to song. Disney knows how to really push a story and characters with music. It's what they do best. So I'm actually going to transition that into my next one I think you guys need to see, because it's also about music. And it's also sad. I think it's a little sad.
I think we have the same one. In fact, this was my last one. So
well, I have one more I'll talk about. It's The Boys.
Yes.
Okay, so I was very excited. I actually mentioned it on a podcast, if you guys remember, when it was like, what are we looking forward to watching on Disney Plus? Because they had released like the full list of what was going to be on their like day one. This ended up not being day one. I think that list was like inaccurate. I don't remember where it came from, but this came out like a few weeks after Disney Plus came out, or it was on Disney Plus. It's several years older than when Disney Plus came out. But it's about Richard and Robert Sherman, the Sherman brothers, who are responsible for this little film called Mary Poppins. Yeah, everything, basically. Mary Poppins, certain songs in the Jungle Book, just really any...
Winnie the Pooh.
Winnie the Pooh. I actually didn't know that one.
Yeah, I'm a Little Black Rain Cloud. The Tigger song.
Yeah. But anything in the 50s, 60s, into the 70s, probably, that's Disney, there's a really high chance that music came from the Sherman Brothers. And then even after they left Disney, Chitty Chitty Bang Bang,
right.
Also Sherman Brothers. So just a huge impact.
Park music. Tiki Room.
Like they were the boys. They were Walt's boys. They were his.
It's a Great Big Beautiful Tomorrow. Just
yes, because
it's a small world.
Remember? Well, I guess we don't actually remember, but the song in Carousel of Progress was changed to something else for several years. And so I remember going to Disney like for the first time, and my mom knowing the song. It's like the song that had changed was the song that she went to Disney with. And I was like, no, it's not that. It's There's a Great Big Beautiful Tomorrow. Not Now Is the Time, whatever. But just because it was so iconic. But I mean, those guys are the soundtrack to like 3 generations worth of people's childhoods. Like they are iconic songwriters, and this goes into their background. Of course, they're brothers. So you get to learn about their family and growing up. The documentary is put together by their sons, which is really interesting, because this is why I say it's a little sad. Their working relationship was significantly more successful than their personal relationship. So if you have a idea of what the Sherman brothers are like off screen and you don't want that illusion ruined, don't watch The Boys. They just didn't get along.
And that it was so surprising. Like, you think about Mary Poppins, and then you watch movies like Saving Mr. Banks.
Yeah.
And you kind of get this perception, oh yeah, they're brothers, they work together, they get along, they love each other. And then you watch The Boys and you're like, oh
yeah,
wow, okay. Yeah. So
that's
just a minute. Personalities. Very, very different personalities. And again, I think that is the beauty of documentary film work, because sometimes they shatter the illusion of what we perceive.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that one was good to watch. It was a little hard to watch. So it's not like they try to kill each other. This isn't like, they just didn't have an off.
It's just a unique family environment.
Yeah. Yeah. And so seeing and knowing that their sons worked together as cousins to put this on and even like bring them together for a couple things toward, the end. And Robert passed away, Bob Sherman. I can't remember the year off the top of my head, but it hasn't been too terribly long ago, I don't believe. And so, when they go to events, and even when he was alive, they would, go up and get awards together, and then they would go sit separately, even at like Mary Poppins Broadway premieres. So just really interesting.
Pop quiz, or not quiz, but just off the cuff question for you.
Okay.
Your favorite Sherman Brothers song? Ready?
Feed the Birds. Feed the Birds.
Same.
It's Feed the Birds.
Feed the Birds.
We're gonna get to documentary one of these times that I haven't cried in. I cried a lot in this one anytime they talk about Walt Disney and Feed the Birds. Saving Mr. Banks shows the importance of that song really well. But even after Walt died, they were the only ones allowed in his office, and they would Richard would play Feed the Birds on the piano. And even like before Walt passed, when he was having a bad day, he would call the boys in to play the song. Oh.
No.
Gotta shake all that off. Any more happy ones?
Any more what?
Do you have any more anything more uplifting, maybe?
Documentaries?
I have one more.
Okay. Yeah. I was actually gonna end on The Boys. That one's solid. So if you especially love Disney music, because they wrote so much of it, absolutely watch The Boys. So okay. So go ahead with your.
Well, I want to bring mine around.
I thought so. I think I know where you're going, because you started moving your camera down, and I'm like, oh, should I talk about the Mandalorian one?
No, go ahead. I introduced The Boys, so you talk about the what was it, Disney Gallery, which was a really weird name.
It was a weird name.
Yeah,
it's a so our last two were exactly the same, so that's not surprising at all, actually. The last one is the Disney Gallery. It's the Mandalorian season 1 behind the scenes. So think of like this was literally like a DVD box set behind the scenes, very straightforward in style, like it's very familiar like structure of what each episode was. And I think, how many episodes were there? Like 6?
I think so. I think there's 6, but they're each divided very clearly to one different element of the making. So directors, cast, music, technology, story. There's like a whole episode about nods to other Star Wars things, like props and one-liners and creatures. That episode is really fun. Dave Filoni really flexes on us.
Yes, absolutely. I really enjoyed like the I can't remember which episode it was, but it was like the technology one
with the volume.
Yeah, maybe. So essentially, all of The Mandalorian was shot on like a soundstage, and it's like digitally put behind them. I'm just like, what?
Yeah, and that like what's it, the game technology? What's it called?
Yes.
Yeah. Oh my gosh, what a game changer!
It is mind blowing. So if you enjoyed The Mandalorian, just kind of like that vintage Star Wars feel to things, go and watch this and just see how they created it. It is amazing, absolutely amazing. So but yeah, they hit on a different topic on each episode, but I think that was probably one of my favorite ones, just because I like technology things. So
no, that was jaw-dropping, because just obviously, like, I'm no expert, but basically they have the entire background built into like almost a 360 degree like video wall around the action. And so wherever they move the camera, the background, wherever they're pointing, updates to whatever needs to be there. Like if you're playing a video game and you turn left or right, they've already created what's there in anticipation of your character, right, looking. And to do that large scale is really, really cool. Like with growth, like real people in there, like humans. It's so cool.
So amazing. So amazing. All of these are just, in my opinion, just really, really solid documentaries that every Disney fan should watch. Again, if you enjoy animation and the live action, if you've enjoyed the new things that they've added to Disney Plus, like these should be on your short list of things to watch on Disney Plus outside of, normal movies. Broaden your horizons. So
I've probably watched as many documentary, even not just like Disney documentaries, because Disney Plus also has National Geographic. So there's some really nature documentaries, like Free Solo.
Free Solo was so good.
You enjoy stressing out.
Oh my gosh!
Watch Free Solo.
I'm sitting in my living room watching this. I'm like turning to my wife. I'm like, Becca, look at this! Like, look at this man hanging from this cliff with his bare hands.
On Netflix or something before. I don't know, but I saw it a while back, and then I watched it like last week, and we were hanging out with my brother and sister-in-law, and he hadn't seen it. And I'm sweating, and I know what happens. I've seen it. But it's so anxiety driven, but it's also just a really well put together documentary. So yeah, there's a lot of different content on there. Disney Plus is not just like princess movies. Like there's a lot of quality content that anyone can enjoy.
Right.
Yeah.
So speaking of Disney Plus content, this upcoming Friday, movie night on our Discord channel. Come join us. I apologize. Okay, so to all of the people on Discord, I know we have been trying to do a music listening thing for like the past 2 months, and we've like said, okay, we're gonna do it on this Friday. Yeah. And then something happens. And then the next one comes up and like something happens. So we were supposed to do music this week, but
you lied. No.
But I lied because I am going to Disney World again on Friday and Saturday.
Please Rise of the Resistance boarding passes this time. I'm gonna feel so bad if you don't.
We're actually going to Magic Kingdom. So I went last Friday. I went last Friday to the park. This was kind of like my scoping out trip. I wanted to see how things were, because this was my first time back in a Disney park since March. Wow. Like a week before they actually shut down. We did a cruise,
yeah.
But like the Sunday before, we went to Hollywood Studios and we rode Mickey's Runaway Railway. I had ridden it for the preview for it, but then I brought my wife and my 2-year-old. Absolutely loved it. We had a great time. We did the cruise, and then the world shut down. But yeah, so this was my first time back. It was kind of a mess. It was a hot mess. I did not get to ride Rise of the Resistance.
Is that the only reason it was a hot mess, was the boarding pass situation, or are you including just everything with masks and security?
Actually, so I'm going to be completely honest. The mask thing did not bother me.
I thought most of us are used to it by now, just in general with the public. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, okay, yeah, it was hot for sure. But the relaxation zones, and anytime that you're going to sit down to actually eat, essentially if you're starting to get a little worked up and you need a breather, just go sit down. There are plenty of places to go sit down and relax and just take a break. So yeah, that's what I did. And other than not getting a boarding group, I actually had some clients down today, and she texted like, I have a strategy for getting like a boarding group, and they didn't get it at 10, but they got a backup boarding group at 2:00.
What was their strategy? Oh, you want to tell me later?
Well, no, I mean, it's fine. So there have been several people who have like kind of done tests of the Wi-Fi strength in the park, and right outside of Star Wars Launch Bay, there's a store. It's actually closed right now, but the signal strength there is pretty strong.
Huh. Okay.
Yeah. So
go over there.
Refresh your app, like right before the 10:00 time when they drop the boarding groups, and it's luck of the draw. I mean, it's literally a lottery system. So, but I think the problem was they were having, operational problems with the ride, because the park opens at 10 o'clock. That doesn't mean they start testing the ride or running the ride right at 10 o'clock. They're doing it well before that.
Mm-hmm.
And I think they were just having issues.
Mm-hmm.
So they only released a very, very limited amount of boarding groups for that day, which is, that's just an assumption. I feel like that is the process of how that works. And I guess they were having problems again today because it was, they missed out on the 10 o'clock boarding group time. They did get one at the 2 o'clock, and they were backup group 60. So,
oh my gosh,
they're struggling to get through that many.
That's insane.
Yeah. If you remember, back in December, January, February,
yeah,
typical day, I think you would get around 120.
Yeah, with that, easily. And so, they were boasting what, like 1,500 people an hour or something crazy like that.
Yeah, I don't know if I actually saw official numbers, but now granted, the park was opening at like 8 o'clock, and we're opening 2 hours later at 10. But still, that I think they have had some problems. So it's a very technical ride. I mean, it's so sophisticated. If one thing goes down on it, you're toast. So, but Rise of the Resistance was down. Runaway Railway went down for part of the morning. So I'm sitting there like,
what do I do?
Rise, no Railway. Yeah. Toy Story. I rode Smuggler's Run. Fun fact, when you ride by yourself during this current situation with social distancing and things, you get the entire cockpit to yourself. So yes, I flew the Falcon by myself with the help of autopilot and auto gunners and engineers on the other positions. And the autopilot system is not good. I'll just say that. So yeah, we had joked about riding Millennium Falcon. In fact, our first ride together on opening day, we had like 2 6-year-olds like flying. I don't even remember that or not.
So, yeah, their parents were the gunners, and they kept yelling at them like they were doing stuff wrong.
We're just sitting in the back, like,
whatever. I had a good time.
It was fun. I don't
think it would have gotten worse than that. Was the autopilot worse than?
It wasn't much better. So you would still like crash into things.
I think there's several crashes you always crash. There's one crash for sure you always crash. I think that's just part of the ride.
Maybe. So it was still fun. Flying the Falcon. And then I took pictures the rest of the day. So that was kind of my test run for the parks, just to see, what it was like. We're going Saturday, and we're taking my wife and my child, and we're going to go to Magic Kingdom, ride some rides, have some snacks, watch the Halloween cavalcade, which came out today.
Yeah, that looks really cool.
It was crowded, so that was fun.
Don't get me started on that. Was it crowded? Yes. Are there football games going on? Can we go get our hair done? Can we go to Target? Yes. So if you're going to Disney World and you want to see it, I don't think that's as big of an issue as people want to make it out to be, when there's plenty of other cases around the country where we're easily breaking social distancing already. So I say whatever. If you want to see it, see it. If you don't want to see it, rather not, then
we have to be in the mindset of, we have to self-police ourselves. We have to take, this is our responsibility now. Yeah. Disney has their rules in place.
Yes.
We just have to abide by them. So just be courteous to the people around you and just give them space. Yeah. And I will say, on my trip to Hollywood Studios, everyone was really abiding by that, especially in the queues. And in fact, one lady actually came like really like up close to me in the line for Runaway Railway. And then she immediately was like, "Oh no, I'm so sorry, sis." I'm like, "It's okay, don't worry about it." Wait, it's just going to take some time to get used to.
Yeah.
I actually don't think that part will go away anytime soon. Just kind of distancing in queues, but we'll see. But I will say after going to the parks on Friday, especially if you're a Florida resident, I'm not saying if this is your first time going to Disney World, maybe hold off. There are pros and cons. The crowds are great. The wait times are typically great. It's just you do lose out on some experiences that are, like fireworks and in-person character meets. But I love what they've done with the cavalcade. So
yeah, that's a great balance with everything. I'm still not planning on going back until our trip in November. I'm just easing now back into a couple of things personally and our family. So I'm really looking forward to November, praying everything keeps going how it's going. But yeah, I predict probably by the beginning of the year, maybe we'll start to see some stuff lax a little bit. I think the masks in queues and indoors will stay for a little bit. I'm hoping the first thing to go would be just masks walking down like Main Street, but we'll see. We'll see. It's a process, and I'm glad you had a good time. But anyway, we got off topic. So this all came from you not being here again because you're going to Disney World for our Friday night movie night in Discord. So what are we going to watch this Friday that I'm going to host?
Yes. So while I'm in Disney World, you guys are going to watch actually one of the movies we just talked about tonight. We're going to watch Waking Sleeping Beauty.
It's a really good one.
I thought about The Boys, but Susie was like, "Oh, it's so depressing for a Friday night."
It's so sad, you guys. I don't want to watch it again. I'm sorry.
So Waking Sleeping Beauty it is. That'll be the movie for tonight. And next week, I promise, we're going to have our music night. So come join us on Discord, and we will take your requests for Disney songs, and we'll just kind of hang out for a couple hours and listen to the music of Disney parks. But real quick, going back to the park thing, because I want to point out, Florida residents, there is a really great deal going on right now. If you are not a pass holder, they have ticket deals that are ridiculous. There is the 2-day ticket to Disney World. Now that does expire at the end of September, but then they have a 3-day and 4-day ticket that is good through, I think, December 18th with one blackout week, Thanksgiving week. But other than that, it's like $54 a day if you get the 4-day.
That's insane.
Ticket. So it's a great deal. For the 2-day ticket, for the 2-day ticket, it is like a few dollars more than a standard 1-day ticket to the parks. So it's almost buy one, get one free. So you absolutely need to take advantage of this if you are comfortable going. If you're not, that is fine. Stay home, come back to the parks when you're ready. But if you're fine with the policies and you're okay with social distancing and wearing masks, come and have a good time. As always, you can email me your dates that you want to travel. My email is matt@travelmation.net. I'm a licensed travel agent with Travelmation, who's an authorized Disney vacation planner. And actually, Susie, I believe, has finally decided to join our ranks. So soon she will be also available to take in your vacation requests as well. And we're going to figure out how to kind of centralize all of our requests from the podcast into an email. So we're both going to be taking care of you. We're going to be tag teaming it and making sure that you guys have the best vacation planning experience possible. And I have no doubt that it will even get better with Susie coming on. And we're just helping each other out, and we want to help you out. So
exactly. That's why we're here in the first place.
Yes.
Not because we like the sound of our own voices. That's certainly not it.
That's for sure. So, so yes. So we're looking forward to that in the next, hopefully, couple of weeks. So once Susie finishes her Disney training, College of Disney Knowledge.
Oh,
yes. So come find us on social media. We are on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, YouTube. Come subscribe to all of our things. And
Instagram, guys. We are 5 followers away from hitting 1,000.
Yes. We are 5 away from hitting 1,000 followers on Instagram.
Yeah.
So we're actually going to hopefully start dedicating some more content to Instagram. I love taking pictures. I think Susie loves taking pictures. So we're going to put
captioning pictures.
Okay, so I will take the pictures and Susie will caption them. There we go. She's the marketing genius. So we'll put some of our park photos and things on there, and Susie will put words with them and things.
Very eloquent. Obviously, that's why I'm going to put the words.
So we're actually going to do for our 1,000th follower. So we'll be able to keep track of that, I think, pretty quick.
Yeah.
We're going to give you something. We don't know what it is yet, but we're going to give you something.
Maybe props. No, not that kind of props. I was thinking like props, but we also don't have actual props. But there is another person we need to call out who is our new patron.
Yes, our new patron.
Major props. Yay for Allie.
Yay. So thank you, Allie, for being a new patron. If you would like to be a supporter of the podcast, you can come find us. We are on patreon.com/imagineears. And for little as $2 a month, you can come support us and help keep this thing going. And we're going to give you very exclusive content. So we'll be recording our September content very soon, and we'll look forward to sharing that here soon with all of our patrons. We appreciate you guys.
Thanks,
and
guys.
We appreciate you, the listener, as well. And if you have enjoyed the podcast, come give us a rating, especially on Apple Podcast. Give us a review. Tell us what you love about the show, and maybe we'll even start reading some of those reviews on air. So we're also on Spotify and Google Podcasts, pretty much anywhere that you listen to podcasts. There's so many like apps now. You can find us, just search for the Imagineers Disney podcast and we should pop up. But again, we appreciate our listeners. We appreciate our patrons, and we look forward to coming back at you next week with another episode. And until then, friends, remember, if you can dream it, you can do it.
There's really no secret about our approach. We keep moving forward, opening up new doors, doing new things, because we're curious. And curiosity keeps leading us down new paths. We're always exploring and experimenting.